did an outdoor photo with me using Greater Than Gatsby Bohemian Rhapsody collection. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come into my image and I'm going to rotate it. So image rotation to 90 degrees counterclockwise. That way it's upright. My husband was holding the reflector over here, so I'm going to edit that out by grabbing my lasso tool. Grab it, come around, and then type in remove. All right, the next thing I'm gonna do is maybe add a sky. So I'm gonna hit Control J. I'm gonna go into edit sky replacement. Sometimes I like how this looks, other times I don't, so I always test it. So I'm gonna come in and see if any of these would look right. I'd probably do that one. And what I'll do is, that's the reason I made a layer mask, so I can hit OK. That way I can turn this down. So you're going to go to the group and just hit, kind of bring it down until you think it looks right. So this is without and that's with. And so you're going to flatten. And then once you start editing your picture, the colors will come out more and more in the sky. So I'm going to do, my first action is going to be gentle light plus clean. That's a little much, so I'm going to bring that down to about 40. Hit flatten. I'm going to come down and do boost the background, and you'll really see the colors pop here. That's beautiful. I love how much more green everything is. You can see it without and with. I'm going to turn it down to about 85 and flatten. I'm going to go to pop the subject clean. That really made them pop. So I'm going to leave that how it is because I like it. I'm going to flatten. Then I'm going to go to enhance the sky. And in this photo, you'd either use clean or warmer depending on what looks best. Beautiful. I'm going to bring that down to about 70 and flatten. Then I'm going to go to my one-click color base and do, is this the real life? That looks pretty good. I'm going to bring it down to about 55. And next I'm going to go to, let's see what lively color does. Sometimes I'll use it. So I'd probably only put that at like 10% if I use it. And then I'm going to go to my diffuse sun action because you can see over here it's hazy because of this, where the sun was. And so once I hit continue and you're in this box, you're going to drag it over. And I'm going to put it like right there and hit OK. So without and with, I'm going to bring it down to about 75 and flatten. The next thing I would do would be perfect greens. I like my greens. I'm just going to bring down the yellows in them just a little. So my brush is on 35%, and I'm just going to paint that on just so they're not any neon greens. And flatten. Then I'm going to go to polished copper under my artistic color grade. We Will Rock You. And I'm going to bring that down to about, let's see, 30%, and flatten. And then I'm going to go to a little warmer, like that. I'm going to paint it off the bride's face so that she's a little warmer already. So I'm going to take some of that off at 70% and flatten. Sharpen. At 50. And then I'm going to go up to portraiture. This will soften their skin a little bit. And I already have all of my settings set in portraiture, so I never mess with them. So I just run it, and then I come in here and I take a black brush to brush it off the details, like eyes, lips, nose. For guys, I'll take it off their forehead a little more. They're supposed to look a little more rugged. And then I'll click around on the hair, bow tie, the belt, hands, and then maybe a little bit of the rock in front. And flatten. Now I'm going to take my red nose and ears action and take off the reds at about 40% on my brush up here. And you have to paint on with the white brush or it won't work. White paints on, black takes off. And his ears a little. And then I'm going to take it down even more and just do a little of her arm. Like that. And then I took the opacity down to about 70% to bring a little bit of the color back. So, right about there. And flatten. The next thing I'm going to do is come into my brush tool and click on her face to brighten it a little. Then I'll come in and just add a little bit of highlights to the areas that look like they're getting hit by the sun. Maybe a little in the whites. And in her hair. I'm using my dodge tool to do this. Paint it on the rock a little where there's highlights. And here, and there. And then I'd pop this a couple more times. That looks pretty good. I'm going to check her skin tone by going to curves, grab my hand tool, go to the blue. So you want your yellows within 1 to 3% of your magentas on the info panel to the right, and then your cyans would be 1 to 3 or 1/3 to 1/2 of the magentas and yellows. So hit shift and click on her skin and go to your yellow first because that's at 73 and your magenta's at 56. So I'm going to bring this down so that they're in 1 to 3% of each other, which would be about right there. Because that is too cool, what I'm going to do is paint it on at about 20% just to bring the yellows down a little bit. Like that. And then the The last thing I would do would be to come into filter, camera raw, and I'm just going to add a radial gradient around them by going into this circle, going to radial gradient and circling them, invert it, and then bring your exposure down to about 60. And that's going to draw the eye to them over the background. And this is where I would finish the photo. I think it looks beautiful.